seeing that they might come do it this year. And I've had buyers who have stopped with everything that was going on, 2 buyers who have stopped.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Are you finding that you've got plenty of people to be reaching out to and making your calls in terms of your call lists each day? Or is anyone struggling with, who to call?
Hey, Bill, it's Justin.
Yeah.
I think just because I just recently went through Bold and how we were doing the D2, D4, whatever it may have been, I had reached out to basically my entire database. So now that I had done that, I think I've struggled a little bit finding some people, new people, I should say, to try to reach out to and break through to a little bit.
Okay. All right. Well, so as far as how you're doing your business, are you is your part of your goal and your market plan to work with both buyers and sellers?
Yeah, so right now I'm predominantly buyers. I've had a fair amount of success attracting them via social media, which has been good. But yeah, right now predominantly I have like 4 or 5 buyers, no pending listings currently. Okay.
If you had more listings, would that be a good thing?
Absolutely, 100%.
Okay. All right. So a lot of the training sessions we talk about in terms of getting listings, obviously we start with our sphere. Who does your sphere know out there that is planning to sell their home, and can you have an opportunity to get in front of that person? Other people we want to reach out to are looking up expired listings. Who was on the market and it just wasn't successful in getting sold, and is ready to give it another go. So do you tap into the expired listing database?
So I've actually just recently started working on a letter to get out to a list of expireds that I've put together. I was speaking to Alicia the other day, and I'm hoping to get it out, what's today? Early next week, probably. I'm just about wrapping it up. It's almost done. So hopefully that helps a little bit, maybe bring some in. But yeah, I've been keeping an eye out actually because I have buyers. So I've been looking at expireds for them to see if potentially those sellers would still be looking to sell. So yeah, I mean, I've kept a little bit of an eye on them, probably not got in touch with them as much as I should have or should. But yeah, I'm getting there.
Okay. Anyone else in here calling
one
on
thing, Donna was doing an MLS class the other day, and one thing she said was if you go into last sale dates and put an old date in, then you find people that, they have a lot of equity in their home and may be looking to sell soon. Like she put in 1976, and it was amazing how many people came up.
Sure. Right. And you never know. Like, I mean, I've actually done a calling campaign, and, I do run into a lot of people that have been in there. That was their first home and their only home. And, they used to, a lot of the comment is, we have no plans. You're going to have to take me out of here in a box, whatever. But you never know. There could be those that they're at a point where, what? We've had a lot of years of enjoyment in this home, and it's probably the point, we're probably 5 years past the point of where we should have downsized by now. They're still dealing with a lot of yard work or whatever. And they may be at a point where it's probably a good time to start talking about selling the family home and moving into something more suitable. So yeah, that actually is, I think, a great list that you could create and maybe discover some good opportunity in.
So Bill, with that regard, I have a quick question. My parents live in a really nice neighborhood in Braintree, one of the big ones that people really, it's very sought after. There's an agent in that area who lives in the area, knows the area, and almost has like a, monopoly on that market. How is someone like me, a newer agent, able to break into that market with him being so prevalent over there?
I don't know. You don't assume anything, I guess. Don't assume that everybody loves this particular agent.
No, not everyone, not everyone does, but he does do a lot of business in that general area.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
you know what? I'm going to answer that with a recent experience I had. So there's a home that was on the market a year ago. It didn't sell. It was on with Coldwell Banker out of Hingham. The property's in Abington, actually right close to where I live. So I called it. You know, it was an expired listing that I looked up, and I had the fortunate opportunity to talk with the wife homeowner, and she mentioned that, yeah, well, you know, why don't you talk to my husband? He's kind of handling that. So she handed the phone over to him, and he said, oh yeah, well, I know so and so, and I know so and so, and he mentioned a couple of realtors who I'm friends with, but they're with competitive companies. So immediately I'm thinking, oh boy, all right, so he's probably just going to list with Joe or Maureen or whoever, just because of prior connections, relationships, or whatever in town. So what I did was, you know what? I said, I'm also a viable option to them. I had to, you know, change my mindset and not, you know, kind of throw in the towel just because of how he responded. And I thanked him for taking my call and said I'd love an opportunity to interview. And he at least responded in a positive manner in terms of they'd be open to that. And then what I did is I put together some marketing data and went over to their home and just knocked on the door and said, hey, we talked a few days ago. Just want to drop this off, you know, introduce myself in person. And I talked to the wife. She stood in the doorway, and I stood down on the walkway, you know, kept my distance. And we chatted for a couple minutes, you know, so I just developed a little bit more rapport. And then she mentioned that their son was actually going to be doing the interviewing with the realtors. He's a realtor himself in New York City, and we're going to defer that part to him just because of his knowledge of the business. I said, okay, great. Well, I followed up with another thank you card and look forward to, you know, hearing from their son and whatever. And so I sent that out. And then about a week or two later, I got the phone call, and it was their son. And he basically said, so Bill, yeah, you know, my parents are planning to sell their home, and they asked me to kind of check in with the different realtors that wanted to, you know, the opportunity to list the home. And I did some research on everybody, and I saw your statistics, and they mentioned that you came by the home and they had some good conversation. They had a good feeling, and I'm just going to tell them to list with you. And that was it. I mean, that was just from an expired phone call, just reaching out, not making any assumptions about these other agents, you know, getting the business. And I don't know, I guess instilling some level of confidence with them. So, so yeah, long story short, that's going on the market next week. And again, I wasn't always making these expired phone calls, but it's interesting how I can look back on a couple that I did make. Another one was in Weymouth. The guy was kind of tough, but we sort of hit it off with the dialogue on the initial phone call, and I delivered my my booklet to them, hand delivered it, handed it to his girlfriend who answered the door, and just the follow up. And I ended up getting his home. We sold his home in Weymouth for $672. The buyer of that was unrepresented, so they actually asked me to write the offer as a seller's agent. So I double-sided that sale. In addition, the buyer had a home to sell, so I got their listing as well. So 3 sides because of making an expired phone call. So I encourage, you know, everybody to look beyond their sphere. Obviously, make their sphere calls, but also look beyond that to some traditional realtor calls that, you know, we're taught to you know, incorporate into our lead generation time. Speaking from experience, it works. And I think a lot of it too is luck. I mean, maybe I catch these people just at the right time or in the right mood. But you got to put the effort out. Anyone else have any challenges with their calls, their daily calls?
Just a
Struggling?
question. You said that you drop off your packet. Is that a pre-listing? Or do you have like a separate, just FYI, this is who I am, like to meet you
Yeah,
sometime?
depending
type of thing?
depending on the conversation. Yeah, it depends. So the most recent one where they hadn't made any determination yet, what I did was I printed out some statistics, market stats on Abington. You know, where, you know, the market was in terms of home sale prices, average days on market, that sort of thing. I just provided some information of value to them, just to, you know, show them that I was coming from contribution, and you know, just give them some background on what the market's doing. And then also, I think I included, I have a one-page document. It's titled Stone Properties Team of Professionals. And I've got myself on there. I've got, you know, Bob Malone from Radius Financial. I've got Mike King. I've got Carla from Lieberman Law, and I've got Ariel from Crowley and Cummings. So I included that information as well, just again to show them that I'm organized, and I've got, you know, basically an action plan already established, just to, again, provide them some information of value. Other cases, I do have a pre-listing packet, and depending on what stage and where the conversation went, I've provided my pre-listing packet to them as well, which basically outlines the process of selling a home, some background about Keller Williams, our Y4C2Ts. I've got a page on that. I've got my realtor resume in there, which I picked up from Rich Lannon. Basically, it's a resume, but it has all my information as I've been a realtor. I do have a Zillow account that I don't pay for. It's the free one, but there are reviews that people have posted, and I've got a few pages of those reviews on there. So just some information just to help them get a better understanding of who I am and how active I am as a realtor. Okay. So, all right, well, again, part of the Ignite sessions, you know, I've had discussions with people, other teachers on this, and, you know, we've traditionally gone through a 20-minute part of the session and making our calls. Quite frankly, I'm going to pass by that because I think we could spend our time, you know, focusing on the actual material at hand here. But I just wanted to review the importance of, you know, making your daily calls, so that the daily 10 contacts added, 10 connections, 10 handwritten notes. You know, if you do have a meaningful conversation with somebody, it's important to send out a thank you note. Hey, thanks for taking my call. I really appreciated that conversation, and whatever you want to write in there. And then the other 10 is the homes previewed per week. Now, I know we're in a different world today than a year ago. The home previewing, I think that has kind of changed up a bit just because of the COVID. But again, it's still the whole idea of staying in touch with what's on the market, just keeping your hand on the pulse of the local market, knowing what's on market, and being able to take opportunity to view homes whenever possible while staying safe. Okay. And again, when we're making our calls, the goal is obviously you want to ask for business. The ultimate goal is to be able to schedule an appointment to meet with them. And then if not, at minimum, at least ask for a referral. And we do have those scripts to help us with that. Is anyone currently practicing scripts each week?
Yes, we're in the classes with Lisa.
Oh, cool. Great. Yeah. So with Lisa Axios, how long does that script class go for in general?
It's supposed to be a half hour. Sometimes it goes over a little bit.
Okay. And what kind of scripts have you guys been practicing?
Different ones, listings, I don't know, she does different ones all the time, so mostly trying to get a listing of the ones I've been in recently. I didn't do today. I don't know if anyone else did, but
Do you kind of go over some common objections and how to respond to those objections?
yes. I mean, she's been trying to just get us used to just going through them because it's a little bit awkward. And then she will interject times to, see if we're sticking to the script, which is, again, difficult when you're new. I think you tend to just want to answer instead of try to stick to it.
Right. I gotta say, I think Lisa is pretty amazing when it comes to her scripts and her work ethic, commitment to practicing these scripts on a regular basis and doing it in a group format. A few months back, actually more than a few months, but I sat in on one of her classes and she had me play the part of the homeowner, and I didn't make it easy on her, but she just kept her cool and it just flowed, and she continued to ask for the appointment, and it finally ended up where I gave her the appointment, and I wasn't just trying to be kind. I just felt that I didn't have any other option but to allow her in, just because of the way she carried the conversation. So super important that we do incorporate into our schedule script practice, because I think it's only going to make you better. Right, Melissa? All right.
Yes, I think it helps a lot because it moves the conversation. You know what to say next. That's some of the time people just freeze and they don't know, or they're listening or not listening and thinking of the next question, and then you miss what the seller or whoever is saying. So that's really important to have that script in front of you, so you know what's going on and you can keep the conversation kind of flowing.
Sure. I could think of 2 instances from scripts practice. It got me the listing. One was the objection was, well, I still have 2 realtors I need to interview, so why don't you call me on the weekend and I'll let you know what I'm going to do. And that objection came up in scripts practice a couple days prior to that appointment. And I was so glad that I actually had that practice, because when that objection hit me, I knew what to say. And essentially, I just reconfirmed that everything that we discussed made perfect sense. She agreed with my marketing plan. She agreed that she felt that I was capable and competent to list the home and effectively get it sold. And when the script was basically, well, I'm ready to get you signed up today and we can get you, her motivation was she wanted to move to Florida. I'm ready to get you down to Florida as soon as possible. So if you'll allow me to commence this, I'll call those other 2 realtors on your behalf and let them know that you listed with me. And she was shocked to hear that I would actually do that. And she signed, and I did call the 2 realtors. And it was, if I didn't have that scripts practice, the old Bill Stone would have been, all right, I'll call you next week. And I probably would have followed up and found out that they gave the listing to Century 21 or something. So again, it works if you work it. All right, moving along here. So let's see, establishing mindset. So that you guys know that there's an instructor worksheet, and then there's the student worksheet. What I guess I'm going to do is I'm going to use the instructor one just to kind of go through this in terms of my screen share. And that is this. All right, cool. So pricing to sell. So the main thing about when we have that listing appointment, when we finally, take that big step in getting somebody to agree to list with us, we want to be able to present some real data that's going to be helpful in, gaining their conviction and knowing that you're going to get this property sold for them. So there's several things that factor into, what makes up a home's value. And this is important for us to understand and discuss with the seller. So I'm going to skip down here to that section. Hang on, bear with me. All right, we're going to get past the lead gen part. Okay. So as this says here, pricing is a process, and learning to do it well requires knowing pricing strategies and, you know, representing a CMA that you can present and have the seller, you know, gain commitment to. So, big part of, you know, when I go to price a home, I need to really understand what's going on in the market right now. What are the local market conditions, and what's the pricing criteria? So it's no secret, I think, that, you know, supply and demand, it's, you know, how markets work. You know, what we've talked about as agents in home values, you know, when it's a seller's market, what does that really mean? How would you define a seller's market? If somebody were to ask you, what kind of market is happening right now? Is it a buyer's market, seller's market? Where are we at? How would you respond to that? Has anyone got a response?
Seller.
Seller.
All right, okay, so Teresa, work with me on this for a second. What do you mean a seller's market? So how do you know it's a seller's market?
Because there aren't as many houses around, so the buyers have fewer to look at. So if you're selling, the likelihood of them you getting more offers on your house right now is good, because there's not a lot of competition.
Competition as far as other homes for sale?
Yes.
Right, okay. Yeah, I mean, supply and demand. You know, knowing in a balanced market, there's typically about at least 6 months worth of inventory available. And what that means is all the inventory that's available for sale on the market, it would normally take about 6 months for all of it to sell. So when we have less than that, that tends to tip the scale in an unbalanced way toward the sellers. So less inventory, you know, large number of buyers, supply and demand. So that's what's keeping these home sale prices, you know, high for the last several years, actually. Now, fortunately, from the buyer side, at least the interest rates have been extremely favorable. So at least allows them to stay in the game and be able to, you know, purchase homes that, you know, at a high price, but at least they're purchasing them at a very low interest rate. Like, I think right now they're give or take right around 3%, depending on the lender. Okay. So local market conditions also, those are going to vary. So for example, South Boston, Somerville, I think it's pretty well known that, you know, those markets are super strong, and they're seeing like ridiculous selling prices. As we get out into the suburbs, you know, traditionally, you know, Braintree as an example, you know, because of its logistical location to, you know, the city, you know, to the main highways where you got 128 and 93 and Route 3. People being able to commute into the city or whatever, that makes it a favorable and, you know, and also affordable. The taxes that are on within a town, you know, tax rates, that factors in. Now, if you're talking, you know, into some of the suburbs, it's a different market. You know, when we talk about hot markets versus cooler markets, those factor in too, in terms of the location of, you know, what towns we're talking about. So, you know, where you could have a very hot market near the city, it may be not as active in some of the suburbs. Let's see. So determination of value. So I have this conversation all the time with sellers. So how much is a home actually worth? What is the value of a home? And, you know, you may have somebody who wants to sell their home and they say, well, I think my home's worth $550,000. And I'll be like, well, what are we basing that on? I don't know. My next door neighbor, I mean, he was telling, he and I were talking the other night, and, you know, he knows he's been in my home and he thinks it's probably worth at least 550. Okay. Well, the reality is value is based on, you know, what a buyer is willing to offer and what that seller is willing to agree to in terms of sale price, bottom line. And not to mention what an appraiser thinks of it as well, is what the value is. But really, the home's value is what that buyer out there is willing to offer to pay, and the sellers are willing to agree to. Okay. So again, when we're talking about things to take into consideration, one of the big things is, you know, the local market conditions. You know, how much inventory is actually out there. If you're looking to put a home on the market and there's only 3 properties available for sale in that particular town, well, that's a pretty good strength on the side of the sellers, you know, because, you know, you don't have that much competition. How long are homes staying on the market? The statistics on days on market, that could factor in as well. And you know, days on market, homes priced correctly. If you look them up once they go contingent, if I see a home that was only on for maybe 3 days, I know that they priced it properly, and that listing agent likely got multiple offers. When you see a home that's been on for, I don't know, 5 months, well, that maybe tells me there's either something structurally wrong with the home, or you know, maybe there's something about the neighborhood, or maybe they just way overpriced it, didn't take into consideration, you know, the market itself. Price per square foot, that tends to apply when you're dealing with apples to apples to apples. An example would be if you've got like a condominium complex, say you have 100 units, and they're all pretty much, you know, cookie cutter, same layout, same square footage. Price per square foot could come into play when pricing like that. And then changes in the local landscape. You know, what's going on in terms of the job market, maybe new industry coming in. You know, we've heard in the news about, you know, Amazon opening up a headquarters in you know, the Boston area. Something like that could bring jobs to that area, that could factor in terms of you know, home value as well. Okay. So pricing criteria. So the main thing when people are considering a property's value, they're taking into consideration the condition of the home, the location. You know, is it on a busy main road, or is it on a nice little cul-de-sac? How large is the home? What's the square footage offered? You know, is it a 800 square foot home, or is it a 2,500 square foot home? So that is going to factor into the value. And then what other amenities does the home offer? Is there a garage, or is there no garage? If there's a garage, does it have living space above? Sometimes I've seen like a master bedroom suite above a garage. Does it have a finished basement or not? What other examples of amenities have you guys run into with buyers that was hard what they're looking for, or description of a home?
Right now,
I got a question. Oh, sorry.
there's a
Go
pool.
ahead.
Pools are big.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Pool? So people are looking for a pool?
Yeah, lately I've quite a few that they're like, yeah, if we're going to be locked in, we're going to want to get everything out of it. We want a pool, or we want to be able to build a pool. So no septic in the back or wherever. So yeah, pool has been a hot topic last
Really?
month. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's crazy.
Huh. Yeah, I think I've had all of the buyers that I've worked with, their criteria, a swimming pool maybe came up twice, but I don't know. Hey, things change over time, so that's interesting.
for the last, like for me, been in about 4 years, and the last 3, pools were just on the lower end, but now it's definitely taking off.
Okay. All right. So you have some buyers that are looking for a pool?
I do.
Oh, I got a listing coming on next week. It has a nice in-ground pool. Let's talk.
I'll shoot you an email. Yeah.
What else? What other amenities have you found that people are asking for?
Office space.
Like for a home office?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So maybe they need a 3-bedroom, but for the family, but a 4th bedroom would be useful to purpose for an office. Okay.
Finished basement?
Would you say finished basement?
Yes, finished basement.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Additional living area. Okay. Some of the buyers I've talked with, a common theme tends to be open floor plan. So, when we're talking about homes, that were built, in the early 1900s or, maybe the 1950s, I find that properties are kind of boxed off, like the rooms are all sectioned off, whereas today's designs, you've got that kitchen with the open floor plan that, flows into the dining area or maybe a family room. That's something that comes up with certain buyers, younger generation buyers, I find. Okay. So again, these things, I think the pool thing, my experience has been it's either something on their checklist or it's not. Pools can be a 50-50 thing in terms of an amenity.
Right.
Me personally, I love pools as long as they're somebody else's. I wouldn't want to manage a pool myself. Same thing with boats. I love boats as long as it's somebody else's. All right, so these are, again, when I'm sizing up a property on behalf of a buyer, these are the main elements that I'm taking into consideration. If they ask me, if they see a price and they're interested in the home, often I'm asked, well, what do you think we should offer? Do you think it's worth that list price? And so I need to factor in, these different elements and compare it to, other homes that have sold and determine if the amenities, bring forth some value, the square footage, the actual location of the home, all these things. They're all important factors.
Hey, Bill, this is Eric. Do you break down the price per square foot?
No, I really don't go down that road in terms of square footage. Although I did once, it was a property, it was at Captain's Cove in Quincy.
Yeah.
And, that's, a 10-story building. And so I actually did take that into consideration, square footage.
Okay.
That was factored in terms of my coming up with a logical list price for that.
Got it.
No, and I know we're talking different types of homes, but when you watch like those, $1 million listing in LA shows, whatever, they always talk square footage, and they're not always talking apples to apples. Why is it necessarily that they would do it there? Is that just because of the price of the homes out there that they were talking about?
I don't really know. Again, I'm not in that market, so
I think that's sticker shock for the viewers, just to see how crazy it is over there.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah, because they're always trying to say, we made a record with price per square foot on our last home.
okay. Yeah, I'm really not well versed on square footage type pricing. I've only, like I said, in instances where I think it made sense was when you're talking about comparing properties, apples to apples. And my example was the condo complex. They're all pretty much the same unit. It just depends on what updates, went into it. But yeah, you know, some of those reality shows that you see, I kind of question how real the market is in terms of what's going on with those agents and those listings. Maybe it's all genuine, but I think a lot of it is well, a part of it is sensationalism as well.
Oh yeah, it's got to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, market statistics. So, what are current local market statistics in your targeted areas? So, what are the days on market? Again, here's that price per square foot element, if it applies. How many homes are on the market, etc. Does everybody know where to dig up this kind of information? Has anyone gone through this exercise in terms of locating this information?
Can we go over it?
Well, absolutely, yes. Okay, so where I'm going to get this information is we delve into MLS. All right, so you know, what's the average days on market? Average price per square foot. How many homes are on the market now? These are things that we want to know, and these are reports that I produce to my my sellers when I go out to have this conversation about listing their home and what price we're going to list it at. So I'm going to switch screens here, and let's see. Hold on. Oh, new share. Yeah, here we go. Cool. All right, so I'm in MLS right now. And what I did was an area market survey. Now, how did I get there? So let me just start from the beginning. All right, so is everybody familiar? Oh, I've already done my continued education. My license is about to expire, but I'm all set, so don't worry. I'm covered. So everyone familiar with this home screen? Okay, so I'm going to go up to Tools, and I'm going to go right here in the middle to Market Reports. Okay, and I'm going to go up here and select New Report. Okay, so part of our exercise today, by the way, I selected a property in Weymouth that we were going to do a CMA around. So on that theme, if I were to do some research on the market, I go up to report type and hit the down arrow here, and I'm going to select area market survey. Okay. And I'm going to pull up information on single family homes because this is a single family home that I'm doing this exercise on. And I'm going to go over the last 3 months as an example. Okay. And if I'm going too fast or if you're not clear, just speak up and tell me. And then down here, I just highlighted Abington. We're going to type in Weymouth because that's where the subject property is, and add that into the list here. Then, oh, wait a minute, can't see. I'm going to hit search. All right. So what this report is telling me over the last 3 months in Weymouth regarding single family homes, here's the active listings, okay? And it's broken down by different price ranges. So right now in Weymouth, there are 24 listings. And the average days on market is 30, okay? The properties on the market, the lowest is $295, and they go all the way up to over $1 million. Okay, average is 552. Okay, so now I'm going to go down a little bit further, and the next section shows me some information about price changes. So the number of listings with price changes, 37 properties have been on the market and had to go through a price change. The average total price change has been about 4%. And this property that we're gonna do the exercise on should be priced in the 4s, I'm thinking. So let's just take a look at one of these. So I could hit the hyperlink. And so let's see here. Here's a home that was put on by United Brokers. Oh, it's sold. I gotta move this out of the way here. So I'm gonna look down to the market history, and what I see here is this property went on in March 4th, and they listed it at $459,974. Interesting listing price. Not sure how they came up with that crazy number. Oh, the Mission Impossible team. Interesting. It was on the market. It went under agreement and sold April 30th, and the final sale price was $448. So they started off at $459,974, and after a week, actually less than a week, they dropped their price to $439, 20 grand, and then received an offer a week later that they agreed to, and closed at $448. So they started at $459, reduced the price to $439, and ended up at $448.
So Bill, I think that some type of old strategy is being used here that someone was talking about, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how it works, but they put it on and within a week they drop it. And I don't know, it's some type of old strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this done before?
Well, I think it's interesting that the final result that they ended up at, but in general, the conversation I'm having with my seller client is, you know, it's important to price the property correctly right from the get-go. And by having it on the market, you know, we'll know within the first week or two if we're priced properly. And we're going to base, you know, that on number of showings and number of offers that we have. So as a general rule, if I have property in the market, say for 10 or 12 days, and we have less than 10 showings or no offers, then we're probably not at the right price point. So I'm not sure what happened here, but perhaps they didn't have a lot of activity at $459,974. And the seller was highly motivated. There may have been strong reasons why they needed to get the home sold quickly. So they didn't wait too long. They waited 6 days and tested the market, and then pulled the trigger on a $20,000 price reduction. And I'm guessing that generated a lot of interest and showings, and it got them probably multiple offers. And so their strategy worked here. So, you know, had they maybe started off at $439 versus $459, it probably would have gone even better for them. Okay. Get back to my screen here. Uh-oh. Okay, here we are. All right, so again, here's just some information on properties that have had to go through some price changes. If we price correctly, you shouldn't have to have that uncomfortable conversation with the seller. Hopefully by pricing correctly, you're gonna get the activity and the offers right from the get-go. Pending and under agreement, here's another, you know, report and statistics. You know, 101 listings went pending in the last 3 months or under agreement. Again, average days on market up with these was 26 days. Average days to offer was a little over 2 weeks. Okay. And then what's selling? You know, what's sold in the last 3 months? Okay, so in Weymouth, there were 116 listings. Of those that sold, the average days on market was 41. Average days to offer was 23, so a little over 3 weeks to get an offer. Here's a good one here. Sale price, list price, the ratio. So they sale price to list price ratio was 100%. So properties that sold in the last 3 months in Weymouth, they were priced, you know, pretty much right at sale price. So there's a few exceptions here. I think the lowest here was one at 94. Let's see how different those were. So this, wait a minute, I gotta move you guys out of the way so I could see it. Okay, so this list price was 272.9. They ended up selling at 269. This one went on at 279 and they ended up selling at 260. 285, this sold at 290. Okay. 299 and they ended up getting 290, so $9,000 below asking. And whoa, 299.9 list price, sale price was 264. Okay. So again, this is all stuff that I talk to my clients about, you know, when we're having this discussion about what's the market doing and what kind of a list price should we be talking about. You know, how are other properties performing? Number of expireds. So 12 properties in the last 3 months expired. So these properties did not sell. And if I delve into those, I'm probably going to see some overpriced homes. Let's see. Let's look at this one. So 38 Way Bosset. That was on for 146 days. They listed it at 413.9. Well, you know, if I wanted to call on that expired listing, I might connect with the homeowner and say, you know what? I'm thinking you might want to be on under 400. I mean, that's kind of a quick observation. Does anyone else see that?
Yeah, I know where it is.
Yeah. This one was on at 439.9, on for 48 days, expired. Oh, sorry, didn't want to show who it was. Okay, let's go back. So we don't want to be that property that ends up just expiring, you know, go through all this effort to market a home and it doesn't sell. All right, so these are some good reports that I print out to have that conversation with my seller client to discuss. Okay. So does everybody understand how we get to those reports? Under
Yeah.
Yes.
Not sure
tools.
if my microphone is working. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. I hear somebody talking.
Yes, I'm trying to ask a question here. I realize sometimes it's not, I guess pricing is a very big factor, but sometimes it doesn't matter really how low you price the house. If you don't have a qualified buyer, it's sometimes the prices, you could move it as low as you want to. I remember I was selling a property some time ago, and then we priced the house at I think it was 339, and then we kept it on the market for at least 20 days, and then there was a lot of people coming in and out, but no one really wanted to buy the house, and so we moved it down to a much lower price, and to about 289, and then I think we were still getting the same volume of people, and at some point there was like a newlywed, and then they wanted to purchase a house in the area. They ended up paying like, you know, almost what we asked for from the original price, because I guess it was a side deal. So they liked the property, and then it was 5-bedroom, and I really didn't think lowering the price really did have a dramatic effect on selling the property. I may be wrong.
Well, let me ask you this. How many people had been through to view the home during the period that you had it listed?
Well, we actually had quite a bit. I mean, honestly, it wasn't the right time. Obviously, timing is everything in selling a property. From my experience, because when we first introduced the house on the market, it was like right in the middle of harsh winter, but we did
Mhm.
get good traffic coming in. But as soon as spring starts, and then boom, we sold the property. I think
Mhm.
timing was probably was the factor. Although the agent kept on insisting on lowering the price, and then my wife wasn't very happy, but she kept on agreeing with the guy. They went from 10,000 down, 20,000 down, and 30,000 down. And I'm like, well, I don't think. I mean, even if you take $100,000 off the property, we're probably not gonna sell it because we don't have the right buyer, and then probably the timing is not accurate. But once the time comes, and then the right buyer comes, and then we ended up selling the property for over $3,000. I mean, $300,000. So to me,
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, well, we kept lowering the price, and we ended up firing that first agent, and then we hired Cardwell Bank, and then we were able to move the property with Cardwell. I don't think it was Cardwell. I think it was just the right buyer that comes in at the right time.
Well, yeah, that could very well be. I mean, timing on the market, that does factor in. I think we know historically, people seem to think that the spring market is when, you get the most activity in terms of buyers out looking and, properties available. When the grass is green again and, the trees are in bloom, it just adds to the curb appeal. And I think that, it just creates that stronger experience on behalf of the buyer in terms of evaluating the home. So time on market, that definitely does factor in. I had a listing in Holbrook, and the reason the seller was selling when she did, she had to relocate for her job back to Chicago. And she reached out to me, I want to say it was like early November. So, you got people that are kind of going into, the holidays season, not necessarily thinking about buying a home. They're thinking about focusing on the holidays and expenses around the holidays. And we weren't getting a lot of interest in terms of showings on the home. I did get offers, and the offers were just slightly below. So the example was, I think we listed it at 419, and I want to say as what I recall, I think we got an offer for 400, and then they upped it to 410, and then they finally upped it to 415, and my seller continued to reject the offers because in her mind she was hoping to get 430. And I ended up just canceling the listing because, she just wasn't highly motivated to sell based on what the market was willing to offer at that period in November. Ironically, she relisted with Century 21, who was working with her relocation company, and they put it on at 425. So I had it on 419. They listed at 425. I brought a buyer in, and he offered 425. And that was in February, so a few months after I had the listing. So, timing definitely does make a difference as well. Was it Mike that was speaking?
That was Vronsky.
Yeah. So, I can't say, as to what marketing and activity went into the property when you had it listed with the first agent. I don't know if there was anything else that, was turning clients away. Did you get much feedback from that listing agent as to why people didn't want to make an offer?
No, actually, we didn't get much feedback. I mean, we just knew that he was kind of lazy, so he did a whole lot of hard work to get the listing. But once he gets the listing, we realized that he kept coming late to his open houses, and then he really sometimes we literally have to I had to go there and open up the door for people to look at the property because he scheduled an open house at 11. 12:30 is not there, and then there's already 5-6 people outside, ready to look at the property. You call them up, and he says, "Oh yeah, I'm on my way. I know I was going to be running late," and then so that I think a bunch of stuff probably plays the role of the property not being sold on time. I think he didn't really you just wanted to get the listing. I guess the idea is once
Sure.
you get the listing, anybody else is going to sell it for me. So that's a lot of agents does that. They get the listing, and they're not doing the follow up. They're not doing the necessary work that needs to be done. Also, I think that's a big factor. But I
Yeah.
think if you price the property right the first time, you shouldn't have to keep, cutting it down 10%, 20% until you get the seller really upset. I mean,
100%. Yeah. If you price it correctly, you shouldn't have to go through price reduction.
that's correct. Yes.
But, this job isn't easy. I think it's important that, when we're looking to get listings that, we have to do our work. We have a job to do. And, it's not just sticking a sign in the ground and, waiting for the calls to come in for buyer agents to show the property.
Right.
There's stuff that needs to be done on behalf of the listing agent that, to make it a successful sale.
Thank you.
All right. Let me see if I can get back to. So the screen that you guys are seeing that I'm sharing, do you see again my sheet here, local market statistics? What our current, okay.
What was the tab in tools to get to that page?
Market reports.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So stepping on here, knowing what sells. So, and this goes to Mike's point here. There's little point in winning a listing if it doesn't sell. So to get a home sold, you got to be in the market. And what puts a home in the market? Well, first of all, the price that you put it at, but also the condition. If you got a good product to sell, that's one thing. But if you've got a dog of a home, that's going to make your life very difficult. I've had bad listings where, the homeowner just put zero effort into any repairs or, cleaning it up, tidying it up. It didn't present well. And, the example that I use, it's like if you go to sell a used car, you don't just stick a for sale sign in the windshield and expect to get top dollar, blue book value. You gotta vacuum it out. You gotta give it a wash and a wax. Armor all, the dash and the wheels, you gotta spiff it up a bit. If you expect to get, full market value. And it's the same thing with a home. If you're going to put a home on the market, you want to have that conversation with your seller, that they need to do some things to prepare. If there's a lot of, walls that need touching up with paint, that's a cheap fix that can go a long way in terms of, getting a good, strong offer. If there's any obvious things, with regard to disrepair of the home, you just got to have that conversation with the seller and really understand, what they're willing to do on their part to make it a successful transaction. If you're looking at to obtain a certain price on it, what other homes are selling at in that price point, look at the condition of those homes and compare the subject property to them and determine, if you were the buyer, which would you select, this home or this other one here that's priced the same, but it's got the brand new kitchen in it. This kitchen was, from 1950. So these are things that the condition is a huge factor. So if the condition is poor and you've priced it way above, then you're talking up here, you're not in the market. Versus if the home's in good condition and you priced it below the vet market value, that puts us right in here. That's right in the market, and then you're basically teeing yourself up for success.
Sorry, Bill. What page you on? Are we a price principal?
I'm not on any specific page, just because this is the instructor's sheet, but
Oh, okay. Just because
Yeah.
we're still looking at MLS. I didn't know if you meant that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Sorry. I thought you were seeing this. That's what I asked. How's that?
There you go.
Hi,
Thank-
Bill. May I ask you a very quick question?
Yeah.
Because like you know right now we're having the pandemic, so like like you mentioned we need to go by like market report. But do you think like we should still go by that? Because there's like not too many houses like in the market right now. So do you think like those like statistics like we should like should still rely on those like statistics?
I'm sorry, could you ask that question one more time?
Yeah, my question is like because like we're still having the pandemics, like so do you think those like market reports numbers like is still reliable?
Well, I mean, I think it's factual information. So I mean, I just provide the sellers with some information that I pull, fresh out of MLS. I mean, it's real data, I think. And it's just basically adds to the conversation about what's going on in the market. How quickly are homes selling? What price points are certain homes in certain conditions? What are they selling for? I just think it just lends by me producing that market report. It just kind of lends some credibility that I'm not just coming up with an imaginary number that I think would work for us. I'm basing it on some research, and this is the data that I have available to base my research on.
All right, thanks. So I have another question because I'm thinking to sell my like investment property. So do you think it's a good timing right now, or I should wait like a couple more months to see like after like probably like hopefully like pandemic will be like get over soon. So how do you think about that?
Well, first of all, do you need a good agent? Because I'm available.
Well, like I think I would need some advice too.
Investment property, what is it? Where is
It's in Braintree.
Braintree? Is it a multifamily?
It's a single family, but it's like I bought it like 2 years ago. It's like rebuilt it like ground up like 4 years ago, so it's still very new. And after I bought a property, I did the floor on the second floor. So it's all hardwood with like pretty nice kitchen, like everything.
Yeah.
It's on the Liberty Street. I don't know if you are familiar with the Braintree, but
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I know
So it's
where
on
Liberty Street is.
But the thing is, like right now, I have a Section 8 tenants live there. Like the lease was up like half a year ago, but she has like hard time to find another like house. So it's kind of like it's kind of hard to kick her out right now. So I don't know.
Right. Well, that's just it. I think during this, this current pandemic, and under the state guidelines that are mandated, I don't know. I'd have to, do a little bit more researching, but I think there are certain protections in place regarding tenants, at least in terms of some forgiveness in terms of paying the rent, but also whether or not you're allowed to evict or to terminate an agreement with the tenant. Have you had those conversations about them, finding another place to live so that you can sell the property?
Yeah, I have a conversation with them like all the time because like I want to move to like other town too, so that's why like.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think the original question is now a good time to sell? I would say yes, absolutely. Again, interest rates are low. The market is definitely in favor of sellers. The property's in Braintree. I think my guess would be you'd probably do very well selling it in the current market.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. All right. Just checking on things here. All right. Knowing what the seller can and can't control. All right. So again, what elements of the home condition, location, amenities, you know, the market, you know, where the market is, the size of the home. What can the seller control out of these different things?
Condition.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, if there's any repairs, if the home needs any paint inside or out, if the driveway needs to be resurfaced, or if there's a new roof, those are all different things that, you know, regarding condition of the home that the seller has control over. What else? What else can they control or not control?
Price.
100%. Yeah. I mean, that's probably the easiest thing for them to determine, you know, how high or low to price the home. But obviously, if the home is sitting on, you know, Route 18 in South Weymouth, can't do much about that. The location, it is what it is. Same thing, the size of the home, you know, the certain square footage that the home offers, that's not something that the seller can change. You know, the fact that it may have a bathroom only on the second floor, but not on the first floor. Nothing the seller can really do about that unless they want to, you know, hire a contractor and, you know, spend a considerable amount of money building a new bathroom, if it's even possible, based on the layout of the floor plan. So, yeah, but the easy ones are condition and price. So here's a script on here. Let's see here. Christian Axios, you there?
Yes.
You want to do me a solid and just read the script out loud for everybody?
Sure. Just see it. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, some of the things you can control. It's this one, right?
Yep.
Okay, great. Some of the things you can control during the selling process are the condition of your property, the availability of your home for showings, and your positioning in the market. In the end, value is determined solely by what a buyer is willing to pay in today's market, based on comparing your home to others currently on the market for sale. I don't determine value, and neither do you. The market determines value. Does this make sense?
100%. Boy, you sound like you've been doing this a long time.
Oh yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, that's a standard script. And it just basically states, you know, some simple logic. So that would be one I would say to maybe, you know, rehearse a few times, and because you should definitely incorporate that into your listing presentation. All right, window of opportunity. This is a good one, and then actually this is, I believe, in Command under designs in terms of pre-listing templates. But this, I think, is a good visual that I use in my pre-listing booklet. And essentially what I think it illustrates, and what I say to the client is, you know, this really tells us, you know, it's the first couple of weeks that are so important when we go on market with our new listing. It's the first couple of weeks where the property is going to shine the most. It's our opportunity to capture the attention of as many buyers as possible, and, you know, create some interest through showings, and, you know, essentially obtain offers. You know, after the first couple of weeks, you know, when we get into week 4, 5, 6, you know, the shininess of the new listing kind of, you know, fades. So it's important to capitalize on this period right here at the beginning when establishing a listing on the market. Okay. Pricing to reflect market movement. Again, I thought we were starting to see a change or a shift in the market. That was probably a couple years ago, but then, you know, the inventory really didn't improve, and the rates still continue to go down. So we're still in that seller's market, but if we ever get to that point where we start to see more inventory and a shift happening where we're shifting from that seller's market to buyer's market.
Hi.
What you don't want to do is to be chasing the market.
Training. Is it important? I can mute. No, it's just saying I'm back. Just get home. Okay, because I thought you were gonna go to Peaceful Meadows. Oh, I made a mistake and started rolling down the window in the truck, so we're gonna put it back
Hey,
up.
Marie, you're unmuted.
Unbelievable. We'll figure it out. Oh, my car was too yellow to drive.
Back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so don't chase the market. You want to price ahead of it. So this one here, again, time on market versus average home price. You know, it's, you know, you don't want to be in a catch up. There's another one here. Here it is. So time on market and home price. If this is where the market's going and we're priced up here, you're doing price adjustments. You know, basically this is called chasing the market, and you never actually catch up with the market. So does this illustration make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes picture's worth 1,000 words. And again, I've used these various illustrations in my pre-listing packet when having that conversation. And hopefully, you know, the seller gets it right from the get-go. But if they're being a little defiant and really wanting to cling to a overpriced price tag, I need to kind of impress a little bit more conversation on these illustrations and really talk about what it means to be chasing the market, which is definitely not a situation you want to be in as a seller. So when prices are falling, sellers make a huge mistake by pricing too high, hoping to attract the offer they want, and thinking they will drop the price later if that strategy doesn't work. Reality is that most sellers who do this never correct enough to keep up with price reality. Sellers who price right will get the buyers, while the listing that's chasing the market will take longer to sell. Right, so that's, to me, that's pretty straightforward. So, and then here's good. Don't be afraid to be professionally honest. So, you know, pricing right, you know, it takes some work. Professional honesty is your best approach. I've had certain conversations where it did bite me in the butt, where I was being completely honest, but the seller just didn't like what they were hearing. They just had a figure in their head and they were going to stick to it. And the next step for me, if I wanted the listing, was, okay, listen, I respect the fact that you feel that it's worth this. I've brought forth some facts here, and these are my market reports. The data is telling me this, and we're apart here. Your number's up here and my number's here. So why don't we agree to a strategy where, if you want, we can work with your number, but after X amount of time, and you want to write this into the agreement, after X amount of days, we don't receive any offers or we have less than 10 showings, you will agree to correct the price to my suggested list price. And that conversation, I think, you know, 9 times out of 10 goes pretty well. Let's see here. So here's another piece that I kind of already mentioned, but the first few weeks your home is on the market are the most critical and will attract the most serious buyers. If we don't get a bona fide offer in this time, the market is telling us the home is overpriced. If after 3 weeks this is what's happening, do you agree to reduce the price to my recommended price to meet market demands? I wouldn't wait 3 weeks, actually. I would change this script up to a lesser time period. I think waiting 3 weeks is too long, personally. Okay. Anyone have any questions at this point?
Quick questions.
Yeah.
Is it good to get their opinion on pricing first before you give them your presentation, and at least so you can have a feel of where they're standing and what they're looking for their property? Or we just have to tell them, listen, this is how much we think that your property is worth? Or wait for
I think it's a good question to ask right up front, and oftentimes they'll tell you, and other times they won't tell you. like I'll ask the question, so what were you thinking in terms of a list price? And sometimes they'll tell me, just so I have an idea as to where their head's at and if they're realistic. And in other responses I've gotten, well, that's why I want to talk to you. I want to hear what you have to say first.
Okay.
But definitely, I think it's worth asking
Okay. Makes sense.
because it'll give you an indication of, how difficult it's going to be to present your information.
And chances are sometimes you might be way off from what they were thinking, and then come to find out now it's become harder for you now to trying to convince them. I guess, like you said before, it's good to have an agreement. It says, okay, well, we're gonna go with your price first. Let's see how that works, and if it doesn't work, then we have to correct it.
Right. Right.
I'm good. Thank you.
All right. I got to doing a time check here. It's 10:52. Would anyone want to take a 5-minute break? Nature break, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First, I think I want to get a large cup of water. So let's plan to be back in 5 minutes. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to get into my property example and work on coming up with a suggested list price.
Okay.
All right. Be back in 5 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. I think we're still waiting for people to come back. All right, for anyone who can hear me, how about we, under reactions, give a thumbs up if you're ready to start again. Thanks, Stephen. Teresa, okay. All right, Trish, Marie, gotcha.
Eric, ready?
All right, cool. All right. All right, so, again, this is my first Ignite class that I'm doing via Zoom. And are you guys able to just listen, but also go into MLS?
Yes.
All right, cool. So actually jot this down. So the subject property we're going to pretend that we have a listing appointment on is, it was an expired listing. So the address is 163 Evans Street, E-V-A-N-S. That's in Weymouth. All right. So I'm going to give you a second to pull that property up. And what you can do is go to public record to pull the stats on it.
I'm sorry, I think I missed part of it. What are we doing again?
All right, so it's number 163, and the street is E-V-A-N-S, Evans, in Weymouth.
So we need to do a search on that?
Yeah, we're gonna, so as an example that we're gonna go through here, we're gonna pretend that the owners of 163 Evans Street in Weymouth are, have been in touch with us to sell their home. All right?
It's expired, everybody.
Right. So here we go. Share. So what I just did here is I went into MLS and I went into public record. I hope everybody knows how to do that. If anybody doesn't, speak up. And this is what I pulled up. So hopefully everybody's seeing the same thing. So what I'm looking at when I take a look at, okay, what's the details in this property? So it was built in 1930. Says here it's got 2 full baths and 1 half bath. Doesn't have a single bedroom. Well, that kind of stinks. Public record, you'll probably learn that it's not entirely accurate. It says the living area is 1,496 square feet. It's got 0.21 acres of land. Style of home, conventional. All right, so that doesn't really tell me much either. There is a basement, a full basement. The heat type is forced hot water. I'm guessing maybe radiators or baseboard. It's got vinyl siding on the exterior, and they've rated it as average condition. The last time it was sold was back in 2002. Taxes are $42.25, and that's based on an assessed value of $354.5. Again, little inaccuracy. So it says last sale date was 2002, but the last sale price was from 2001 for $295. Okay. So those are some of the details that I glean off of public record. And again, we don't have the whole story. Now, I know this was an expired listing. So again, we're going to kind of go through the scenario that, you know, they tried selling it, it didn't work. This was an expired listing that expired back in December of 2019. Okay. I'll look at that as well, and I see that they listed it at $499, and it states that there were 4 bedrooms. Okay, so that tells us a little bit more. It says there were 2 full baths. Doesn't mention anything about a half bath, so there's a disparity there with the public record.
Sorry, Bill, where are you now?
So what I had done, I'm so sorry. Okay, so
Oh, that's okay.
I looked this up in terms of public record, just to get some facts on the home, and I'm validating those. Yeah, this information varies. So this is public record that we're pulling on this. But what I had done to get the example was looked it up as an expired listing. So my example here is you came in contact with these people, they had their home on the market and it didn't sell. So when I go back into MLS under a search, I'm gonna look it up, the expired listing. And let's just pretend I don't have the listing number. So under status, I'm gonna select all and then deselect them and then just select expired. And then under the street name, it was Evans. And let's see. Here it is, right here, 163 Evans Street. Okay. So here's the listing. Does everybody see that?
Yes.
I try to search for it. I'm not able to pull it up. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here.
Okay, well, you could do a search. I have the MLS number here now. But what I did was I just searched under expired listings on Evans Street in Weymouth. And here it is. It's listing number 725-78424. All right, so this is a property that it didn't sell, and I'm gonna guess maybe it was overpriced. But, you know, as an agent, we have a listing appointment tomorrow with these people. So I want to do some research here. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at the home. I haven't been in this home, but let's take a look at the photos. Looks pretty decent on the outside. Are you seeing the photos as I'm scrolling through?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right. Here's the living room. Okay. Come on. Okay. Kitchen looks okay.
Nice kitchen.
Yeah.
Nice kitchen.
So it's got the granite, looks like granite countertops. Doesn't have the stainless appliances that a lot of people, you know, look for, but at least it's clean, uncluttered.
At least for the pictures, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's presentable. Yeah. Okay. Rooms look a little small. I mean, this looks like somewhat tight quarters for a family room, den, whatever this room is.
There's 2 of them.
Built-in AC, so I'm guessing, yeah, this does not,
And
yeah,
up the stairs too.
yeah, doesn't have central AC, so it's wall AC, so. Personally, I think these are pretty unattractive.
Yeah.
See the plug hanging here. Okay, good sized master bedroom.
Holy crap.
Kind of old style.
Big. Oh,
Yeah, very, the white colors make it look very sanitary, but yeah, not very current in terms of decor.
And
Walk-in closet.
another window AC.
Mhm.
Gotta keep your clothing cold.
Right, exactly. Another AC unit here in the window.
Are those included with the price?
I would assume so. Mhm. Okay. Again. Okay, so it's got a nice finished basement, which they're presenting as like a bedroom suite. You got a bedroom here in the background. Now the listing, the way they put it together, they didn't list the different rooms and where they were located. So I got a question whether or not this bedroom was actually a legal bedroom, or if they listed it as a bedroom, as one of the four. Okay, nice deck. Ah, there's your in-ground pool.
And was it the public records that said a half bath?
Yes.
Yeah, there was no half bath. We just saw just 2 bathrooms.
Correct. Yep. Okay, and here's your 2-car detached garage.
Bill, this is a really nice house. I'm surprised it didn't sell.
Well, maybe it might have sold, but at the right price.
Okay.
So, so when I'm evaluating this before going on the appointment, I like to look at the photos and the condition of the home. And I wouldn't say it matches up with the style or decor of a lot of people, but at least it presents in the photos anyways as clean and in good condition. All right, so there's that. Now, let's see, what else I'm looking at on the listing in the public record. So we got the square footage, we have the acreage, 2-car garage, so that's a good amenity, I think. People like garages. The description that they gave, sun-filled, 4-bedroom, single-family home located in desired Weymouth location, updated kitchen and beautiful granite countertops, ample cabinetry, large island, and gas cooktop range, large living room and dining room with original built-in china cabinet. 4 bedrooms, okay, they mentioned bedrooms again. 4 bedrooms with bathroom on upper level, large master with walk-in closet, finished basement with 2 additional bedrooms. Okay, here we go. So they had 2 of the 4 bedrooms in the basement.
Well, no, there were
No.
3. There were 3 upstairs, but
No, it says 4 upstairs.
I'm
the
just
description-
saying there
4
were
bedrooms
3.
on upper level, I'm sorry. Yep, great. Finished basement with 2 additional bedrooms, office, flex space, original hardwood floors, and soaring 10-foot ceilings throughout make this a home must-see. Spacious deck, off kitchen, 2-car garage, and room for 5+ cars and driveway. Large backyard, in-ground pool.
One thing is that when you just read that, it said dining room with built-in china cabinet.
Mhm.
They've got couches in that room.
Yeah, let me just go back again. Okay, so that's one of the basement bedrooms. Here's the other. Backing up a bit. Okay.
I think that's supposed to be the dining room.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the chandelier here in the middle.
Because there's the
Oh,
built-in.
here it is. Here's the cabinet that they're talking about.
So
Yeah.
would that help the listing if they turned it into a dining room?
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, people could be looking at this and saying, what the heck's going on here? Where you've got your living room here. Here's your formal living room, but they've kind of got side-by-side living areas, each with a television.
No.
Yeah. So, you know, maybe that could be a conversation about staging that room, purposing it, is showing it as a dining area as opposed to a, I don't know, a den or living room area.
Right.
And it says 4 bathrooms up, but I mean bedrooms up, but only pictures of 3.
Well, again, who knows what's going on upstairs? Maybe one of the bedrooms was just a storage room.
I bet it's that walk-in closet with the window and the air conditioner was converted into a closet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this is one of the bedrooms. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, or the other one, yeah.
Is this a bed
Yeah.
folded up, or is this a? Oh, that's
The
an extra.
treadmill.
That's a treadmill.
Treadmill.
Yeah. So maybe that might be the 4th bedroom, but they just didn't purpose it as a bedroom.
As a clause, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a place to put her purses.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, you know, this is part of the process that I go through in terms of discovering, you know, what a home is offering. You have the luxury of doing it with an expired listing because you could just refer to the photos from the prior listing agent. Okay. But it gives at least paints a picture in terms of the condition of the home and the layout. All right, so condition, location. So this other thing here, I'm not sure where Evans Street is, but I'm going to look on the map here. Okay. All right, so yeah, here's Bridge Street, Route 3A.
Right.
And Evans here is on the back here, so it's on the what do you call this, the bay or something, or Mill
Right.
Cove? Yeah. All right, does everybody have a good idea where this is in Weymouth?
Yeah.
The neighborhood? Okay. So, you know what I'll also do too is I'll click on the Google Maps and just kind of look around here at, you know, what's across the street for me and, you know, what's down the street, just to get an idea.
Quick question for you.
Yeah.
I know this is an expired listing, so the information's on MLS, but say it hasn't been sold in a while. Would you like drive-by? See what you could determine from just like a drive-by?
Sure. Absolutely. Yep. That would probably be a good suggestion in terms of doing a little bit more reconnaissance work. Really trying to understand what's the situation with the home, and you know, I'm looking at this. It's not your typical shaped colonial or whatever. They got this listed as a colonial on the listing, but I think the public record did say conventional.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think it's because of the shape of the roof that didn't make it qualify as a colonial, perhaps. So, but yeah, it's just a slightly different design. Okay, so I'm gonna now go back into MLS, and I've got my deets here in terms of bedrooms, baths, square footage, style, whatever, amenities. And now what I want to know is, well, what have homes been selling for in that general area with that general description? Okay, so I'm going to go back into a search. Again, is everyone seeing my screen here? I'm on MLS.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is under status, I'm going to select and deselect everything. And I'm going to go into sold. Just check off what's sold. In terms of bedrooms, I'm going to type in 4 plus.
Stop.
And garage spaces, I'm gonna type in 1 plus, at least homes with at least 1 garage. What else? Well, I'm gonna put in Weymouth, that's for sure.
Stop, Bruin.
Come on, Bowen.
Bruin.
Oh, Bruin.
Oh, sorry, I'll move. Sorry.
That gives me 38. So now, you know, if I was dealing with a cape, what else I would do under additional criteria down here in the bottom, I'd hit select and I would go down to style. See that here? And if it was a colonial or a cape or whatever, I think you want to be comparing the same style homes. What I might do, I might check off colonial in this case. Maybe contemporary, just to see what kind of properties come up based on that. And I click add. Okay, that reduced that total count from 38 down to 22.
I have 4,000. What did I do wrong?
Did you put in Weymouth?
I did.
Okay. So let me recap. So what I got checked off is single family, sold in the last 6 months.
Maybe. Oh, I went down to 22. There we go. Somehow Weymouth didn't get added.
Okay. I would also, then I think I might want to modify because the market's been changing. I think the market's a little bit different than 6 months ago. But I'm going to change that to the last 3 months to see what's been happening, what's been selling.
Status.
All right, so now I got from today to the last 3 months. That gives us a sample of 11 properties. Okay. In Weymouth, and then I had the 2 style homes I checked off were colonial and contemporary, just to see what that brings up. You know, I probably don't want to compare this to new construction either. So under year built, I'm going to put less than, let's say, 1950. See what that does. Okay, so then now that brings me down to 3 results. Okay, and you can see you guys can play around with these inputs, modify them as necessary to try to get some more comp results to work with. But right now I've got 3, so I'm just, for the sake of this exercise, I'm just going to work with those. I'm going to hit view results.
Hello,
Okay.
this is Sia.
All right, so.
Hello, this is a notification call to members of the National Association of Realtors. I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I?
Well, you are in the middle of a class, so maybe later. Stephen, was that you?
No, that was me. Sorry, Bill.
Come on, Cecilia. All right. So we got 147 Lake Street. We have 464 Pleasant Street, and we have 804 Middle Street.
I don't think you're comparing Middle Street to this property.
Right. So Middle Street was sale price at $730,000. Right. 100% agree. That should not be part of our sample.
It's also 4,250 square feet.
Correct. Yep. So we got Pleasant Street, which is 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, built in 1938. That's 2,031 square feet compared to our 14. So this is a bigger home than our subject property. Has 1-car garage. All right. And then let's see, this one here on Lake Street, 4-bedroom, 1-car garage, built in 1923. Okay. 1,470. Okay. similar square footage. Acreage is somewhat close. And that one sold for $456. All right, so I want to see a little bit more about this one. So I'm going to click on this. Let's take a look inside this one. All right. Some nice hardwoods. I am assuming that might be a dining room or living room.
Oh wow, it's gorgeous.
It's very pretty.
Too many rugs though.
It might be protecting the hardwoods.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
right. Get the baseboard heat. Okay. Good sized kitchen. Nice countertops.
Here's your stainless.
Yep.
Beautiful kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Lot of space. Plenty of room for, to make it an eat-in kitchen if you want to put a table in there bigger than this. Okay.
The bathroom.
Yep, there's your half bath. Oh, full bath. Was that the same bathroom? Nope.
No.
Okay.
I hate when they do that.
Do what?
Put the picture of one bathroom along with another bathroom, and you think it's the same room, and
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Looks nice.
Looks like a smaller bedroom. Okay. Staging with rugs.
Yeah. Lots of rugs.
Okay.
this
so
is
here's
where
your-
you could put a bed.
Yeah, so here's your finished area of the basement.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice yard. All right. I think that home showed pretty well in terms of condition. And so that one sold for $456. In our subject property, they listed it for $499 and it didn't sell. So, okay, I'm opening up the mics to discussion here. How do you feel that this property on Lake Street compares to the subject property on Evans Street?
Lake Street is beautiful and it's offering everything that the young buyers are looking for.
Okay.
It's beautifully laid out. It's old style. Everything's nice and clean. There's not 14 air conditioners in one window.
Right. Now, so Lake Street doesn't have central AC. It says cooling zones, none. Okay. So, but yeah, I think not having the ACs in the windows makes it look better.
Right.
Just hopefully you don't show it on a super hot, humid day.
Yeah.
And Lake Street has the beautiful hardwood floors as opposed to the carpet in the other one.
Right? Yep. I'm noticing that.
So I think that's huge for,
I personally like the stonework around, like the side entrance and the foundation.
Yep.
It just seems like home.
Sure. Yeah.
The other one looks like it was just two things stacked on top of one another. The
Right.
one on Evans Street.
Right. Now, looking at the history on Lake Street, they went on mid-March, and in days to offer was 2. So
Yeah,
they
because
have signed
they
agreement.
canceled an open house.
Yeah. So I could honestly say this is a good example of pricing a home correctly. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
yes.
So went on mid-March and they closed, the third week of April.
Yeah.
Pretty quick, a little over a month. And they listed it at $449.9, not at $450 or $460, $449.9, and they got $456, so above asking. And I think it may be reasonable to assume that they probably got multiple offers. don't know for sure, but typically when you go under agreement that quickly, the seller's probably evaluating at least 2 or more offers and choosing the right one. So this would be, I think, in our example of a listing appointment for Evans Street, I think this would be a good piece to print out to have a conversation about, just as an example of what did sell and how quickly it sold, and going through the photography and showing the condition of that home in comparison to Evans Street. Now again, Evans Street was not in bad condition. However, I think it just presented differently based on the homeowner's taste of decor and, colors, schemes, and all that.
Bill, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, please.
Just something I was looking at Lake Street, and down in the disclosures, it says seller has never occupied the home.
Uh-huh.
That's kind of like, obviously with all the rugs,
It's probably a flip.
You think it was just a flip, or?
100%. Says it right here. Turnkey renovated 4-bedroom, 1.5 bath, hip roof colonial, filled with great character.
Oh, I didn't see the
Yeah.
term.
So I think, well, let me also do this. I'm going to look at up here. You can look at the public record for it. So the last sale date, well, prior to that was August of 2019.
Oh.
Yeah.
So this Amos Shaw,
Okay.
I think is the flipper. They bought it last August for $350.
Yeah.
He cleaned it up. I don't know what the condition was back then.
So
But-
go back up, go back to the listing,
Yep.
property history, top gray, to the left.
Property history. Oh, this one, yeah.
Oh, it doesn't have it. All right. Usually there's a sold listing before this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, but this person bought it for $350 and sold it for $456. And again, I don't know what condition it was in, but they obviously put some money into it, and hopefully made some profit. But yeah, so here's an example of a properly priced home on the market that sold pretty quickly.
Hi, Bill, can I ask you a couple questions?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry, because for this one, living area disclosures, it seems like they put on 280 square foot of additional finished area in the girls' living areas, right?
Why did they state that?
No, it's does that already included the approximate living area?
Well, the living area, I think, according to public record, is 1,470, and that's probably the first and second floor.
Okay, so that doesn't include the 280 additional.
No.
Okay.
Because it's in the basement, it's unheated. They can't consider that living area because it's not heated.
But if it's heated, can we include it into the living area?
Well, let's put it this way. I don't believe a bank appraiser is going to factor that in terms of living area because it's below street level. But you could present it out there under disclosure saying, hey, by the way, we have some additional area down in the basement of 280 square feet that's finished off, but it's not heated. So it's just a disclosure that it's letting the public know that there's some additional space that's finished off, but from a bank appraiser, they're probably not going to consider that living area because it's down in the basement.
Because in the past, I have seen listing agents that included the basement into the living area, so it's not a correct way you would recommend, right?
Well, I think just understanding how properties are valued. So there's two different valuation processes, one by the realtor and then one by the bank appraiser. unless it's a cash offer and there's no appraiser involved. I just think I think this was intelligent to state this under a disclosure, just to let them know, oh, by the way, there's even an additional section of the home down in the basement that's finished that offers an additional 280 square feet. I think that's a good way to represent it, as opposed to some other ways that what you're describing. I think it's important so that you don't get into trouble of misrepresenting, that you state your listing, the information on your listing, fairly and accurately based on, I don't know, the board, building department codes and how they assess a home, how the bank appraisers go about assessing the value of a property. I think you just got to be careful how you state living area.
Okay, thanks. So another question, maybe I missed it. So like when we choose like, different comps, like, do you normally include it like, within how many like miles, like, radius, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too, is I can't, every town has different sections of neighborhoods, some areas of a certain town might be more desirable than other areas. So if you're able to come up with comps that are all on the same street as the subject property and they're all the same style, I think that definitely adds a lot of validity to your research, for sure.
Okay, so like my question is like, do we put on like, within like 1 mile like radius, like, 2 or like 0.5 miles? Do we need to enter that into when we do the research?
Yeah, so going back to the fields that I populated here to do this, what you're referring to was right in here. So subject property was 163 Evans, and the zip code was 02191. And let's say within a 0.2 miles. And I would want to see what I could come up with for that.
I see.
But that didn't yield any results. So then maybe I'll push that out to a half a mile, 0.5. And I still don't have any results. Again, maybe I need to change this up to just 3 bedrooms that sold. Okay, still got nothing. So yeah, but that is definitely another factor that I'll utilize if I'm able to come up with properties that are close by to the subject property versus completely on the other side of town. But in this case, as you can see, we don't have any sold, at least within the last 3 months. Now, if I change that within the last 6 months, let's see what that does. Still nothing. I know bank appraisers, they'll go far back as 12 months if they need to.
Maybe get rid of the year built, Bill.
Yeah, well, again, I was trying to eliminate any new construction homes or newer construction, but let me do that. I'll delete that. And, okay. That didn't give us anything else. So maybe there weren't any colonial or contemporaries that sold in the last 12 months within a half mile. Now I change the radius to 1 mile. See what that does. Okay, that brings up 5. All right, so let's look at that. Okay, here's a funky looking house. Here's another one. We call that a colonial. Okay, sold for $356. Here's one that sold for $410. Here's one for $468. And Lovell Street, they sold for $630. All right, so I guess the whole point I'm trying to illustrate here is when you're kind of trying to come up with comps, you kind of need to play around with the various fields to, determine what kind of subject property, what's going to compare to the subject property. And you got to play around with the different fields, like maybe adjust the number of bedrooms or the year built. But, if you're lucky, and you enter in some of the basics: 4 bedrooms, 2 baths, square footage, style of home, within a half a mile of the subject property, and you come up with 5 hits, well, then that's great. And then that at least helps you come up with some realistic data to compare to.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so any questions with regard to just kind of researching, using MLS to come up with comps?
So I have a question that kind of goes backwards a little bit. With regard to Evans, will you look at their mortgage history? Just because I was, and it seems like they have a significant amount of money taken out on it. Could that potentially change their motivation or why they did overprice that house, because they potentially do owe so much?
Yeah, it could be. It could be that, yeah, they've got a lot of money and maybe refinanced, and yeah, they're trying to at least break even, if not profit a little bit. So that may be a factor in terms of the price that they listed at. And quite honestly, that could be a tough listing to take.
Yeah.
If the list price is based on, you know, what they're looking to obtain versus what the market value really is.
Yep.
I'll give you a really good example. I had a home that I listed, it was on East Street in Weymouth, over in East Weymouth. And unfortunately, it was the nicest home on the street, more or less. They bought it for $315,000.
Wow.
And they put a couple of $100,000 into it. I mean, he redid the whole landscaping. He built this beautiful stone wall out front. He raised the roof and built a master bedroom suite upstairs and this amazing master bathroom. And then he, you know, added some of the kids' bedrooms up there, or refurbished them, redid the bathroom. He did one of those basement technology systems down in the basement to address some water problems and refinished the basement. Built a nice deck off the back and put in a pool. And basically they were in for like $200,000 after the $315 purchase. So in their mind, to break even, they needed to sell at $515. So they wanted to list it at $539 just to have some buffer. And when I did my research, I mean, all the other homes on that street were like, you know, these 3-bedroom capes, and, you know, had recently sold for maybe in the low 3s.
Yeah.
So that was a tough position, but he really did a nice job. It was a beautiful updated kitchen and everything. It showed very well, although one of the big problems also was it was on East Street, which is kind of like a commuter street.
Yeah.
Busy road, cut through road. And secondly, right in their backyard, beyond the pool and beyond the fence, was the Greenbush train tracks. So I had, in the course of 30 days, over 80 guests go through the home. I had several open houses, and every open house we had at least 20 guests. Plus we had a lot of individual private showings. And everybody said the same thing. They loved the home, but their concern was the train and the fact that it was on a busy road. And, you know, that was just a concern, you know, with the kids that they had. So long and short, the reason for pricing it where we did was basically because they improved the home for the neighborhood. And they were trying to recoup the money that they put into it. It ended up selling for about $450, just under $450. But again, there were conditions that were not in my control, or reasons for pricing it higher. However, they were confident that we're going to sell it, and they had put an offer on a property in Marshfield, which they ended up buying for $650. So they immediately went to price reduction mode rather quickly, because they were on the hook on the other end for the $650,000 purchase. So despite all the showings and being overpriced, we did end up selling it, I don't know, about 40 days, but at just under 450. So going back to Evans Street, if we were going to be talking to this homeowner about selling, yeah, I think that would be a huge question. How did you come up with that $499 list price back when that didn't sell? And we may discover some interesting information about, you know, what they're into the home presently. You know, what
Well,
they paid
actually, if you look, they originally listed it at $525, and a month later went down $26,000.
Yeah, that's right. So, however, I think through going through an analysis like we just did, and we can come up with some more other comparable homes in Weymouth, perhaps the real number should be maybe closer to 450 versus 500.
Oh, good, I got it.
I think it's important, again, when we talk about, you know, reasons for selling, to really ask a lot of the questions. You know, what's prompting you to sell your home? What do you owe on the property in terms of a mortgage? You know, asking these questions, really understanding what's going on in the mind of the seller, you know, what their intentions are. It's going to at least help you understand what kind of a listing it's going to be. And maybe even to make a decision whether or not you even want to take the listing. If the seller is going to be unreasonable about a list price, it may, you know, not be worth the effort or the expense to take that listing if they're not going to, you know, be realistic about the market. As far as listing materials, so I'm not sure what you folks are using, but I wanted to share this with you. Okay, can everybody see this? Or maybe I need to make it full screen.
No, it is, yep.
All right, see that okay? All right, so this is something I created. This one was from Command.
Yeah.
Under designs. Okay. So here's my cover sheet. Here's a little bit of information about me that I edited, you know, just talks about my history. This is standard stuff that I just edited by putting in our office information. Is this too small or can you guys see it okay?
A little small.
All right. Hold on. Can I do this? There we go. Better?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so I added my logo and stuff. So 10 years in business, number of clients I've worked with, my goals. So I actually pulled some numbers out of MLS in terms of my average sale price and what the market is. So I'm selling higher than the market. Days to offer, list to sales price ratio. So, you know, some positive numbers that I can at least kind of tout to, you know, show my strengths and how I'm performing. Here's our Y4C2Ts page. I kind of like to have this in there just to show that, you know, we have some strong, you know, beliefs in how to conduct business. So here's some of the properties that I've sold. So I want to illustrate, you know, what the list price was and what the final sale price was, just to kind of put the message out there that I end up, you know, listing prices and selling them at above asking price. And I put in days to offer. So this one here on Union Circle, listed at $4.99, we sold it at $5.15, and we got an offer in 2 days.
Oh.
So again, just stuff to reinforce, you know, my methods and what the results are. Okay. Again, this is right out of the template that's in KW Command, just the process that we need to go through and everything that's involved as a listing agent of what we need to do to sell a home. your initial meeting, the listing agreements, all the way down to, you know, your marketing steps, evaluating offers, negotiating, purchase and sale, and closing. You know, here's a one pager just on, you know, where most people, buyers are shopping. So majority finding their home on the internet, and the second is, you know, through a real estate agent. Okay. So set. Here's a couple of testimonials that I put on here. So that, as I said, you can go into KW Command under Designs, and you can piece together and customize your own listing packet. Pretty easy to do, and you can save it and reuse it for each listing appointment. If anybody needs some help with putting that together, I could certainly offer up some time to show you how I put mine together. But yeah, I mean, when we come up with our data in terms of what we believe would be a likely listing price, or sale price, I should say, you know, we just got to do our research. And what I do is I show the reports and the research and how I came up with the figure. I'm not just, you know, guesstimating. I'm actually basing it on real data, and just having that conversation with the sellers, really understanding what's their motivation, why are they selling, how quickly they need to sell, and what, you know, ask the question, what would be a successful transaction in your mind? What would have to take place in order for this to be a success? And just see what they have to say. And then another question I might ask is, what are you looking for in a realtor? Like how would you describe a strong real estate agent? And try to get an idea as to what's important to them and what they expect from you in order to help them get their home sold.
I asked this question of several times when we were in these classes, and I like getting the different answers. Okay. I haven't had a listing yet. So how do I overcome that question?
What's the question that they're asking?
When they ask about my history, and I've been in real estate for over 30 years, but just a different type. So if they ask for my agent history and I don't have one to give them, I know what I fall back on. What would you fall back on?
Well, I was once a brand new agent myself, and I came from a completely different industry than real estate. So if I was hit with that question, so are we talking about, like, if you're making calls on an expired listing, and if they start asking you about, you know, your experience, is that what you mean?
Or I had somebody I was trying to get their listing, and yeah, basically, I knew she wanted to sell her house, and I was trying to convince her to hire me as her agent.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think what worked for me when I first started out was I talked up more about Keller Williams, our office, and our statistics. So let's just say, you know, the subject property here, Evans Street in Weymouth. I would want to know where Keller Williams Braintree stands with home sales in Weymouth. And fortunately, you know, every month we have our team meeting and we put the stats up there, and I'm pretty certain we've been #1 in Weymouth for, you know, 2 or 3 years running. So I would address that by leveraging the office stats and leveraging the strength of the office as a whole, and our ability to sell more properties in Weymouth than any other agency locally. You know, if they continue to press you, how long you've been doing this or whatever, I think those questions tend to come out if, you know, the conversation is going in such a way where they're not getting a high level of confidence from what they're hearing from you. It may prompt those types of questions. So it's important that you rehearse your listing presentation in advance, and maybe, you know, really study the office statistics so that, you know them, so that you can just recite them easily, and it just flows. Yeah, you really got to, as a new agent, you got to work the strengths of the office.
And that's a lot of what I had been falling back on, using well, I may not have 30 years doing this, but I actually have hundreds of years of people doing it behind me that I can fall back on their experience. And what somebody said the other day was, you're getting more than one agent, actually.
Sure. Yeah. I was mentoring with Rich Lannon at the time, and Rich has been in this business for, I don't know, 30 years or so. And he's a top producer. So I wouldn't be afraid. I would mention that, I'd say, well, I'm also working under the guidance of one of the strongest realtors here on the South Shore. And, he's overseeing, what I'm doing. So you'll actually be receiving the services, not of just myself, but also of Rich Lannon, a top performer, as well as our office. We're 100, I think the number was 165 agents strong. And I have the ability to leverage the talents of all those in the office to help you get top dollar for your home. So again, I think that's a script.
Great.
Yeah. Go ahead, Trish.
Yeah, I said that sounded great.
Yeah. Well, again, it just reinforces the importance of practicing our scripts. If you're running into situations on the phone where you're doing your lead gen and you're successful with getting somebody on the phone to have a conversation that's talking about, relisting their home or listing it for the first time, and you're running into these, potential objections, it's important that we have a response ready to respond easily and speak with conviction.
One thing you said that was good is to know the stats of the office down pat. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And so how can we do that? Well, I would look them up, print them out, highlight them, and have them right there up on my wall in front of me where I'm making calls.
Or if you're in person, have them written in your hand.
Yeah. Well, sure. Absolutely. I mean, here's a situation. So I gave you that example of the property. It was an expired phone call. It was a property in Weymouth, and I don't know. Something just clicked within the first 20 seconds, and he stayed on the phone with me. And he actually brought it up afterwards. He says, "Yeah, I'll never forget that first time you called me. Normally, I hang up on people after like 10 seconds, but it was just something you said that you kept me on the phone." And if you remember, Bill, he said, we talked for a good 45 minutes. And anyways, I got the listing and we sold it, and I got the buyer on that as well. Part of that initial conversation, I remember, I was asking some questions about the previous agent and asked what he did, to market the home. And he said, well, we really didn't have any showings to speak of. I think there was maybe one or two people that came to look at it. I don't think he did any open houses, but I think he was, because he worked another job and the real estate was kind of part-time for him. But as he's telling me all this, he mentioned, I looked up the listing and I saw it was on the market from like early April through the end of July, and then it expired. And, he said to me, I think the realtor told me too that, it was a tough time of year. It was in the summer. A lot of people were away on vacation. So that's why we weren't getting the showings. And while he's telling me that, I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, interesting. And he was talking, and in the background, I was on MLS. And what I do is I quickly looked up sold properties in Weymouth from April 1st, 2018 through July 31st, 2018. I said, well, what's interesting, I heard what you just said. You said that it was kind of a quiet period, people were away on vacation. I said, I don't agree with that because I'm looking right here. And did you know that during that period that your home was on the market, 53 properties in Weymouth sold while your house was on the market? And actually, and I think whatever the stat was, it was like 12 of them were priced in the 600s. So I said, I'm not sure if I can really agree with what your agent told you about it being a slow period of year and people being away. There was a lot of activity going on. Having that information, you know, in front of me while we were having that conversation, I think that really hit home with him. That it just told him that I knew my information, my stats, and I think it just told him that he just didn't have the right agent working for him. So I think I gave myself a lot of credibility at that moment by being able to pull out that information on the fly. Okay, well, listen, I think we're just about ready to wrap up here. Is there anything that we did not cover that you were hoping to cover in this class?
So can I just ask one more question?
Please.
Do you do like a pre-listing appointment and then a listing appointment?
It depends. Depends on the situation. If it's somebody that I know and they call me, like for example, I got a friend from high school. His father passed away and his mother was living in the home that they all grew up in, and it was just too much for her to manage, and she wanted to downsize into a small condo. So my friend Jim called me and said, hey, Bill, my mom needs some help here. Can you, would you mind reaching out to her? She needs, I think it's time for her to sell the home. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So I called up, hey, Mrs. Barry, I talked to Jim, and it was understood that she wasn't going to shop it, that I was going to be her trusted realtor. So I basically did my research, did my comps work and all that. And I went out with her with all my ammunition. We sat down and I said, so Mrs. Barry, here's what I'm seeing here in Abington. Here's, you know, similar homes that sold. And I kind of went through them and showed her the photos and the details. And, you know, this one's similar in terms of square footage. Yes, this one also had a garage like yours. And basically stepped through the logic behind it. And I said, so I don't know if you agree, but I think, you know, probably a good list price would be $425. What do you think of that? And then she said, yeah, that sounds right. Okay. And I had my listing paperwork already right then, and she signed off on everything. So it was one appointment. I took the listing and we agreed on the price and all. Others.
Did you already know that home?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, I was familiar with the home, the condition of it, sure, from being in it. So that helped. You know, others, I may have to do a two-step appointment where I go out, I do, you know, get a feel for it. I mean, it may sound like a great home, but once I walk in and do a walkthrough, I'm like, oh boy, I start to notice different things that needs to be addressed. This needs to be fixed. Yikes, you know, I'll see, you know, a basement that, you know, maybe I detect some problems, maybe some water had gotten in, and it may affect my initial thought about a list price. So I said, okay, this is great. Here's what I want to do. I want to do some more research, and I will call you on Thursday, and I will have my information packet ready, and maybe we can meet again, and I'll go through it with you. So sometimes I may have to do a two-step, but I prefer to do it all one step if I'm able to, and sign the listing.
Bill, what happens if you're trying to do a CMA and there's no pictures on MLS? You know, how do you do that?
Meaning like an outside photo?
Yeah, because I'm working with a potential seller, and I thought the house was beautiful on the outside, so I thought the inside was nice, and she kind of hinted that it wasn't nice. And then when I went on MLS, there was no pictures, just the outside of the house. And I don't know what to do or how to give her a price.
So that's I have to do it Tuesday.
And when I offered to come and look at the house, she's like, "Oh, we don't want anybody in the house right now."
Well, so let me ask you a quick question. So first of all, how did you initially come in contact with this person?
Door knocking.
Okay. And why are they interested in talking to you about selling their home?
She's interested in moving down south, but I don't think she's really motivated right now.
Okay.
Because her husband is not retired yet.
Okay. So when do you think they might be looking to list their home?
Probably in a year or two.
In a year or two. Okay. Probably wouldn't be worth your time to come up with a valuation of the property today.
Okay.
If they're not planning to sell for a couple of years, because you can probably bet that in 2 years from now, the home's value is going to be different than what it is today.
Right. Right.
You're probably going to be talking about a different market 2 years from now.
Right. Also, I would love to practice on one. So can you give us an address and see what we come up with?
Oh yeah, sure. If you'd like, I could send out another practice property to do a CMA on.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody else that would like to do that, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got Marie. All right, so Marie and Trish.
Deb, do you want to do it?
Yeah, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. All right. All right.
This is Akelia. I would as well.
Okay.
I think we probably all could use help doing it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a good exercise to go through regularly. That as well as writing offers. I think practicing writing up offers on homes is something that you should practice as well. But yeah. All right, well, this is what I'll do. I'll pick a subject property and I'll shoot that out, and we'll give you some time to kind of practice on it. And then it'd be interesting, you know, when you submit what your suggested list price is, we'll compare some notes and see how close we come to each other.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. All right, so let's see here. I'm looking at my my format here. Discuss ahas from today's session. Did anyone come up with any ahas?
Well, something you just said, you know, when you're talking to an expired, what did the previous agent do for marketing, open houses? What did you like and not like about the previous agent?
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that's a really good question, which I have not always asked that, but I think I got it from a scripts class with Lisa Axios. In fact, I got a new listing coming on next week here in Abington, and I did ask the seller that question, and they basically they told me what they wanted me to do. So I kind of tuned into that, and I tailored my presentation based on, you know, that response, or what the other agent did not do that they were disappointed in. Cool. All right, well, listen, guys, it's after 12. I'm going to wrap up now. And if there's anything that you need some direction or guidance on, just shoot me an email. My email is real simple, billstone@kw.com. Whatever you need help with, just shoot me a message and I will respond and offer up whatever it is you need to help you guys get more listings and, you know, put together some successful CMAs.
Okay, sounds good.
Great.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Bill.
guys.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.